This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Health issuing a statement addressing a message making its rounds on social media purporting to be an urgent and very important request for persons vaccinated with the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine in the Bahamas. The message appealed to persons experiencing COVID-like symptoms for more than 3 days to share personal details and information about the vaccine administered. Well, health officials advising the general public that this message did not originate with the surveillance unit of the Ministry of Health and hence is not an approved communication. Consequently, the Ministry of Health strongly advises the public to seek information from reliable sources such as the Ministry of Health, the Office of the Prime Minister, the World Health Organization, and the Pan American Health Organization, and to guard against receiving and or sharing misinformation about COVID-19 and the vaccine. Currently, all Bahamian citizens and permanent residents 18 years of age and over remain eligible to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Over 40% of worldwide COVID-19 related deaths coming out of the Americas region last week. This much coming from the Pan American Health Organization during their weekly press briefing on COVID-19. Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, reports that death rates in the Americas have jumped by more than a quarter in the last week and warns that we are seeing the result of when COVID-19 health protocols are relaxed. At the beginning of the pandemic, many positive COVID-19 cases that ended up in the intensive care unit were elderly patients. Now, Dr. Etienne warns that that's not the case anymore.
Look around the intensive care units now across our region, and you will see that they are filled not only with elderly patients, but also with younger people. Over the last few months, hospitalization rates among those under 39 years increased by more than 70% in Chile. In Brazil, the highest jumps in hospitalizations have been among people in their 40s. In some areas of the United States, more people in their 20s are now being hospitalized for COVID-19 than people in their 70s. Adults of all ages, including young people, are becoming seriously ill, and many of them are dying.
According to PAHO, in Brazil, the mortality rates have doubled in those younger than 49 and quadrupled among those in their 40s. Dr. Etienne says that the time is overdue for countries to adjust their response to the pandemic and sends this warning to the public.
If infections continue to rise at this rate, we expect that over the next 3 months, countries across our region will need to maintain and even increase their ICU bed capacity further. Health workers also need support after operating in a crisis mode for so long. Where gaps exist, countries need to hire and train more and more specialized health personnel to ensure that every patient is receiving the high quality of care that they deserve. But we also cannot expand ICU capacity indefinitely.
Dr. Etienne again warns that vaccinations will not stop the ongoing wave of the pandemic as there is not enough vaccines to do so. Instead, countries should focus on stricter measures, social distancing, hand sanitizing, and avoiding large gatherings to mitigate the spread of the virus. In court news, a 21-year-old has been remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections after being arraigned in Magistrates Court on Thursday afternoon. John Elliott of Enya Street was escorted into the Nassau Street Courthouse by officers who appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. Elliott is accused of the April 4th murder of 51-year-old Anthony Roll. On the day in question, Sunday, April 4th, shortly before 12 noon, officers were called to a shooting incident on Nassau Street. On their arrival, they met a male suffering from gunshot wounds to the abdomen. The victim reported that while at a domino game, he was approached by a male he was familiar with. He was subsequently transported to hospital where he later died. Elliott was charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life, as on the same day he was in possession of a .380 pistol with intent to endanger the lives of Ebenezer Frazier and Dexter Harris. He was not required to enter a plea because of the nature of the 3 charges. He returns to court on July 22, 2021, when the Crown will present him with a voluntary bill of indictment. In news from the crime beat, the Financial Crimes Investigations Branch of the Royal Bahamas Police Force holding 2 male suspects for questioning as they investigate fraudulent Bahamas Mortgage Corporation checks. Head of the FCI, Chief Superintendent Matthew Edgecombe, advising the public to beware that unscrupulous persons have presented fraudulent checks purporting to be checks from the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation and drawn on the account of the Bank of the Bahamas. The public is further advised to seek verification with the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation for all checks presented and to report immediately to the police any suspicious transactions. Investigations are continuing. Stay with us. Our final stories are up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.